So chapter 2 introduces us to the second model that we're going to be using in this class. And like the first model, the circular flow diagram model, we're really not going to be using this a ton. We're going to use this, we're going to learn about this. I'm going to give you guys a little paper assessment at the end and have you kind of apply this to your own life to make sure that we're all tracking this graphing, right? Because we're going to be doing a little bit of graphing today. But this is not something that we're going to be using throughout the rest of the class. So again, this is just kind of a baby model that you're learning until we get to the supply and demand model, which is coming, I think, chapter 3, chapter 4. So today we're going to talk about the way that economists think that individuals make choices. So economists depict individuals as having something called a budget constraint. I apologize, my computer seems to have frozen. Okay. So, economists think that people have this budget constraint. Well, and I mean, we do. It's not that they think that we do. We do have it. It's that the economists think that we're thinking about it all the time, which, you know, there are some good critiques about why people don't think like this all the time, and that's in section 2.3, which I'm going to have you all read on your own at home because it just does a way better section. So let's just put that over here. So read 2.3 on your own. Important stuff there, kind of brings up some of the critiques that you might have as we're learning this, right? So economists think that consumers have this thing called a budget constraint, which is all the possible combination of goods and services that someone can afford. Now, this definition has some caveats, right? So the first caveat that we have here is given the price of goods, second caveat, provided all income is spent. And then the third caveat, which I'm not going to write here, but just for completeness sake, and there's no credit. So we're saying that they can't go into debt. They can't use a credit card or borrow money from a friend. They only have the money that they have. They can't put it on their account at the store or the bar, right? Can't put it on their tab. So this is what we call a budget constraint. And a budget constraint looks something like this. So we're going to use the upper right-hand part of the Cartesian coordinate plane, right? And the reason why we're using the upper right-hand part is because if we think about the Cartesian coordinate plane, I think it goes like this, strangely enough. But this is the part that is the positive, right? So in economics, we're only dealing with positive values. We're not dealing with negative monies. We're not dealing with negative amounts of things, right? I gave you -2 apples. Doesn't make much sense, right? I took some apples out of your flesh. Like, we're not playing Settlers of Catan here. That don't make no sense. So we're going to be using the first Cartesian coordinate plane here, just the positives. And for this particular model, we're going to choose just 2 of the possible goods that we could purchase at any given time, right? So I'm going to put over here, I'm going to put pizza. And down here, I'm going to put clothes. And so provided that, you know, my income is something like $100, and let's just pick some nice round amounts here. Let's say that pizza is $5 a slice. And let's say that clothes are $20. So now I want to talk about, I want to model, not just talk, I want to show, right? Economics is a diagrammatic representation of reality. So I want to show on a diagram the decision that I have when I have $100 and I'm just buying pizza and clothes. So one of the first things that I can do is I can totally starve myself and just spend all my money on clothes, right? If I spent all my money on clothes, we would end up with 5 articles of clothing and 0 slices of pizza. So now what if I only bought 4 articles of clothing? Well, that would leave $20 free for me to buy 4 slices of pizza. Let's do it this way. And then, if we continue this, right? If I only get 3 articles of clothing, 3 times 20 is 60. I have $40 left. That means that I'm going to be able to get 8 slices of pizza now. Do the same thing for 2. We do the same thing for 1. We get 10. We get 12. That doesn't make any sense. One slice of pizza, sorry, 1 article of clothing gives us $80 free, which is, oh yeah, okay, 12. So then this is 14. Wait, hold on.
Wouldn't it be 16 and 20?
Yes, thank you. This is what happens when I'm doing these things on the fly. I'm like, so I have the flu, so I've got flu brain. I'm going to blame it on that. I've got flu brain. All right. So then we connect all these together, and this is what we call our budget line. Yeah, the example in the book was burgers and bus tickets, so I figured, when was the last time you bought a bus ticket? Never. And then burger, so I just went with new things, right? All right. So questions on how we constructed that and what those values mean. So each one of these things is a possible consumption decision that I can make. I can't do all of them simultaneously, but these are all possible consumption, what we would call bundles. A bundle of goods is when we have 2 or more goods. Now, when we're talking about our budget line, and we're talking about moving from one value to another on the budget line, we're talking about giving something up in order to get something else, right? So if we are at this position right here, and we have 3 articles of clothes and 8 slices of pizza, if we wanted to increase our clothes to 4, we would have to give up 4 slices of pizza. So this relationship is called an opportunity cost. This is what must be given up in order to obtain what you desire. So everything has an opportunity cost, right? Going to college has an opportunity cost. You could have gone straight to the workforce and started making money, saving for retirement. Coming to class today, right? You could have taken a nap. You could have played video games. You could have watched YouTube. You could have socialized with friends. You could have eaten an extra meal. I don't know. It's 2 in the afternoon, right? But everything that we do, we have to give something up in order to do the other thing. So there's opportunity costs, even if it's just time. That's why in economics you'll hear this phrase all the time that says there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Part of that has to do with the hidden implied costs that, you know, if you're getting a free lunch, somebody somewhere paid for it. It's not as if a magical genie just like poof gave you matter out of nothing, right? But also it has to do with the fact that, you know, say you got free tickets to a concert in Denver. Well, it's not really free. You got to drive down there. You got to pay for a hotel. You got to pay concessions while you're there, right? I mean, like and then also there's the time. That's time that you could be spending working. That's time you could be spending studying. That's time you could be spending with your family and friends, right? So opportunity cost has many dimensions here. But when we're talking about budget constraints, we can talk about it very clearly in this context, right? And we can say the opportunity cost of one article of clothing, I'm just going to keep saying clothes even though it's awkward as heck, is 4 slices of pizza. And then, you know, we can always do the flip side of this, right? Which is that the opportunity cost of 1 slice of pizza is, you know, 1/4 of a piece of clothing. So questions on budget constraints and opportunity costs. Okay. Real quick, let's think about what happens to my budget line when the prices change. So when the prices change. So if all of a sudden, instead of being $20, clothes went down to, let's say, $10. Actually, let's do that in another color. So if clothes went down to $10, then instead of getting 5 clothes, now I can get 10 clothes, right? So now we have a line here. Nothing changes on the pizza front, but this rotates outward to accommodate that lower price. So now we're able to get more clothes than we were able to get before because the price of clothes decreased. Doesn't impact the maximum amount of pizza that we can get. That's still 20. Now, what about the opportunity cost? Yeah, it's definitely going to impact the opportunity cost. Now we're going to be getting more clothes for every slice of pizza that we are giving up. So that's what happens if the price changes. What if my income were to change? So what if my income were to change? So if my income went to $200, right, then instead of 5 clothes, I'd be able to get 10 clothes, and instead of 20 pizza, I'd be able to get 40 pizza, and so we'd end up with a new budget line that's all the way out here. Okay. Questions on budget lines?